Is she not the leader of the Democrat Party right now? Doesn't she have the same power right now?
Joe Biden is the president of the United
Not
States right now.
selected by the DNC.
Do you understand right now that Joe Biden is the president? Yes or no? Do you understand that?
You're an evil person deep down in your heart.
Oh,
Wasn't
God.
your wife other men? Why does anybody give this guy a platform?
Well, she was your dad while I was your
Aren't
mom.
you like the
we were
number
having a giant
Yeah,
foursome.
yeah. Now you're bringing my mom.
If you want to
and
get
my-
personal, all right? You want to tell
Listen,
everybody
keep my
why you
mother's
hate
name
me
out of
so
your
much?
mouth.
Listen, I'm not going to keep your mom's name out of my mouth. I want to keep my out of her ass, and that's why he's so mad at me. He walked in on all of this. It traumatized the out of him, and here he is. He saw me his mom, and he was like, "Mom, you promised me you would never anybody besides dad and your brother."
So my mother's someone, I guess. You know what? Keep my mother's name out of your mouth. This guy's resorting
this
to
whole
mom
conversation
jokes
was
instead of
great.
policy. All I did was brought up his wife, and then he brought up my mother.
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
It's going pretty well. Going pretty well. Not much of a major discussion we're going to have here because I'm not as knowledgeable on political things, but this was an interesting debate nonetheless. What did you make of it? Like, what did you make of this? And what brought you by here, actually?
I just get linked things in chat, and then I kind of just, show up. It's what I do,
That explains why the impressions were up. It's like, what's going on here? Yeah, man. So what did you make of the debate?
I thought my queen Kamala, I thought she knocked it out of the park. I'm happy with her performance. Yeah. What else? What else can I possibly say about her? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd actually largely agree there. I kind of feel like Trump dropped the ball on some things. Would you say that some perhaps the moderators were limiting Trump a little bit? Because I kind of measured some of the time, and the time that they gave him was actually less than Kamala's. Like, do you think that might have been a contributing factor?
No, I think it was the exact opposite. Actually, I think by the end, I think Trump spoke for 6 or 7 minutes more than Kamala, and he managed to fight for the last word on every single question, despite the fact that he never actually gave any solid policy positions on anything ever. So I think I feel like it was the exact opposite. Donald Trump had the most speaking time in this debate.
Interesting. Let's see. Yeah, it's going to be a bit difficult to have like an actual conversation on policy here. What did you think about the policy discussion?
I agree. It's hard to talk policy because Democrats are the only ones that engage on policy. Donald Trump didn't bring up a specific policy the entire debate, except kind of tariffs, although I'm not actually fully convinced that he knows what a tariff is based on the way that he talks about it. And he also didn't answer a single question that was asked directly. He didn't give a policy answer for literally anything. And when he was asked about specific plans, all he said was, "I have the concept of plans," which I thought was hilarious.
That's true. Yeah. Hold up, I'm actually going through a few messages right now. Yeah, where's that goddamn chat? Oh, there it is. Damn. What about the climate change thing? Like, what do you make of that when Trump was like addressing that? I kind of feel like they brought that back into the sphere of discussion when Kamala like mentioned that because with the conversation that was being had previously with Elon. Like, what did you make of that?
I don't know if I was tweeting that. I don't even remember. What was Trump's answer even to that? It was just the one where he talked about how solar was terrible, but then he said he's actually a fan of solar, but then he got mad because for solar you need to use a lot of desert space.
Not sure about that one specifically, but he stated that climate change is not real. That was the part, actually.
Oh yeah, he also doesn't believe in that either. Yeah.
I mean, there's some elements of that where I think we can kind of have a discussion on, but like that's more of like a scientific discussion actually when it comes to climate change itself. Which parts are natural, which parts are human caused, which are the biggest culprits, and which are the least culprits. Of course, I think, like, for instance, the only aspects of climate change that I would disagree with, like the assessments, would be that one of the major things that we should do something about is agriculture, or like anything that produces food for humans. I think it's mainly just emissions that are caused by manufacturing processes. Rather, that should be restricted as opposed to food resources, right? And potentially also depopulation. I kind of feel like it's a potential risk. But that's basically it.
What do you mean by that?
Mean by what?
Or I'm trying to understand. You're saying that you think that I got confused. It sounded like you were saying manufacturing and policies where the manufacturing stuff was what was causing climate change, but not food related stuff, or what was the?
I'd say food-related stuff are not the thing that one should target when it comes to, alleviating the problems of like human-caused or human-contributed climate change, rather.
Oh man, I don't
that's
know
the
where
only
that. I
things
don't
that
know
I
all the
disagree
major
on.
sources. I haven't done like a deep dive on that, so I don't know
Yeah.
personally. But I'm
No,
sure.
no, I was just
there's
like
there's probably a lot of
yeah.
things where it's like there are ways to do agriculture that's more climate friendly, and there are ways to do it that's less climate friendly. That's probably true of like every manufacturing, every industry.
Oh, of course, yeah. No, that was like I was just saying, that I actually kind of disagree when people say that climate change itself is not real. I think it's definitely real. I just don't think that a lot of it is human caused. But the things that are in fact human caused, at least human accelerated rather, would be things such as, manufacturing processes that output a lot of CO2. Cars, for instance. Well, that's why I'm a huge proponent for EVs and changing things towards something like solar, even though I would say that like one of the things I fundamentally disagree with is like the descale of nuclear power plants. Like those really don't cause any problems whatsoever. And, solar itself is a bit difficult, requires a lot of infrastructure that doesn't exist yet. So yeah, but that's besides the point. It's just like the take on climate change that I have.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody benefits from cleaner energy for a variety of reasons, whether we're talking about climate change, whether you believe in it or not, or whether you're talking about, just like cleaner air, cleaner environments, and less things like oil spills or whatever is obviously good too. But I mean, not everybody even acknowledges that it's a problem right now, or not even everybody acknowledges that it's a thing that we should deal with. So it's kind of hard to have the conversation, I guess. But nuclear energy is always good too, and pursuing nuclear energy is always good. But obviously, there's a lot of stigma around stuff relating to nuclear energy. So I don't know how we ever get over that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's like a lot of misinformation around nuclear energy. It's like this fear that the nuclear reactors themselves will like cause an accidental meltdown. Well, of course, that's a possibility. Today's nuclear reactors are vastly different than anything that came before. You couldn't even really make them melt down unless you really wanted them to. Say, for instance, the only other cases I think in modern times that we've had, when it comes to like meltdowns in nuclear power plants, whereas when there were earthquakes, but the Japan incidents, right? But that's like that's a huge thing. Of course, don't build your nuclear power plants near to places where potentially tsunami could come, wipe things out, and cause next level damages. Like that's an obvious given. I think that was kind of like just not the it's not a threat of nuclear power and how safe it is, but rather the incompetence of whoever decided it was a good idea to build that there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I don't necessarily disagree.
Also, apparently, Taylor Swift has just announced that she officially endorses Kamala Harris. Very interesting. I mean, everyone could kind of see that one coming, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, didn't she? I think she endorsed Biden 4 years ago, so I think it was probably pretty obvious.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's quite democratic, I believe. I mean, just listen to some of the songs. I mean, the messages are quite clear.
Yeah, that one song she does about BLM and Chaz really hit hard.
Yeah. Exactly. Hit hard and went out. I think, is Andre up here? He's got his hand up. Do you want to ask a question?
What's up, Adrian? Sure.
Up, man.
So, like, I watched the debate, and Destiny, you said with a certainty that, Kamala came out on policies. Can you list some of the policies she came out in, and which ones can she not do today?
Well, the vice president of the United States doesn't really have the power to do anything. It's a role that's basically there to stand in as the president of the Senate and to take over responsibilities if something happens to the president. So I don't think she can do anything today. The three problems that Kamala identified, one was housing or for new families to own homes. The second one was for children and families, basically dealing with childcare, the expenses for new families. And then the third one was for starting up new businesses. I think on the first one, she says that they have a proposal to have a $25,000 first-time homebuyer credit. On the second one, they want to expand the child tax credit like they had under Biden. She wants to expand it to $6,000. I think it's for kids under 7 years old. And then for the third one, it was a $50,000 tax deduction for new businesses that were being started. Can you think of any that Trump gave?
So I got a follow-up, because you said, so I assume these are all going to be done by executive order, or how do you imagine these will be facilitated?
I don't think you could do any of those by executive order. I'm pretty sure those would all have to be legislation in Congress.
So what you're saying is that it doesn't matter if it's a vice president or president. Either way, they have to go talk to the Congress.
Well, the president supporting something is more important than the vice president supporting something.
So has Kamala publicly said, hey, Joe Biden, let's support these, let's do this, let's go talk to Congress? Or does she just say we have a plan?
my thought would be that Biden would probably support literally all three of these things. I don't.
So Biden would support it. Kamala supports it. They need to talk to Congress, and Kamala could do so today, but she doesn't. Like, this is what I don't understand. Like, you're saying she's not president, she's vice president, but it's not the presidency's job anyways. It's a Congress job. And Biden will support her. So why is he not supporting her today, or why is she not asking for his support and go talk to Congress? Like, this all could be done, right?
Well, no, that's okay. That's okay. I can help you. So the vice president doesn't have the ability to veto legislation as the president of the United States does. And right now, the House, which is the lower body of our legislature, is ran by Republicans who likely wouldn't pass this sort of legislation. So the idea would be, after the next set of elections, hopefully Democrats have enough control in the House and Senate, and Kamala Harris would be the Democrat-elected vice president, that if any of that legislation were to make it through our legislative body, Kamala Harris, as a supporter of that legislation, wouldn't veto it. As the vice president, she doesn't have the veto power, although I imagine Biden would agree. But with the Republican half of the legislature, I don't think that we would get any of this legislation through Congress right now.
So what you're saying is that all her three policies actually don't matter for the presidency. It just matters for the House. So the House should be the one advocating for those policies, not the president, because she doesn't have the power to do them anyways.
No, the president oftentimes advocates for a legislative agenda on behalf of their party because you're the president of the United States. You're the executive, you're the head cheerleader for your party, and you're the one that ultimately wields the power of the veto.
Is she not the leader of the Democrat Party right now? Isn't that what DNC selected? Doesn't she have the same power right now to go advocate, right? I'm not saying do executive orders, but advocate. And two, like you just said, if it's a Republican House, well, she doesn't get to implement these policies anyway. So shouldn't be riling up the, hey, go vote Democrats across the House. Not for her. Like, again, none of these policies are something she can actually do, is what you're saying. She has to get Congress to do, which she could do now.
Yeah, so right now she can't do that because, first of all, she's not the leader of the Democratic Party or whatever right now. Right now, Joe Biden
is the DNC put her as the leader of the Democratic
Party. DNC right now has her. She's the candidate. She's the candidate for the next presidential election.
Right, which is the selected leader of the Democratic Party right now.
We still have a Democrat president, Joe Biden.
He's no longer the selected leader of the Democratic Party. He's a president. He's a Democrat, but he's no longer the Democratic leader of the party.
The Democratic Party is a private party in the United States of America. That's it.
Right. Joe Biden is Kamala as her leader.
Joe Biden is the president. Joe Biden is the president of the United States.
Not selected by the DNC. DNC did not select Biden as the leader of the party. He's no longer the leader of the party. DNC did not select.
Do you understand right now that Joe Biden is the president? Yes or no? Do you understand that?
Listen, before you start being patronizing, you're talking about leader of the Democratic Party.
I'm asking you, do you understand? I don't know what that means. The president of the United States
you
right
said
now.
it. You said leader of the Democratic Party. Hold on. What do you don't know what that means by your own words?
Do you know that? I don't know what it means by your words. Kamala is not the chair of the DNC.
You said leader of the Democratic Party.
You said that the DNC chose her. You said that they chose her as a leader of the Democratic Party. She's the nominee.
Yes, the DNC
what I said is that she's the nominee for president. She's not the chair of the DNC. Okay, I don't think you understand how the government works or the structure of government, which is fine. A lot of people don't, especially conservatives. But I'll say it again. Like right now, you said, why don't they say you should go vote for people in the House? That's what down ballot means. It means that you vote for people of a similar party. The Democrats absolutely want to take the House. That's an important thing. Having the legislature in your control is really important when it comes to passing legislation. Obviously, the same is true for Donald Trump as well. For any president, you obviously want a legislature that will work with you to pass legislation, of course.
Look, you say a lot of things and then you backtrack. You said Biden is the leader of the Democratic Party. That's no longer
I'm not saying. I said Biden is the president of the United States.
No, you didn't. You said Biden is the leader of the Democratic Party, and as a Democratic Party leader, I can't
argue with that. I don't know who you're talking to right now. I'm telling you right now what I'm saying. If you invent some position, or you want to think I said something. You
literally just changed what you said. But okay, that's fine. Joe
Biden is the president of the United States. Can you also hear real quick?
Okay,
I've answered so many of your questions. What was one policy that Trump named tonight? Can you give me one policy?
No, hold on. You haven't named a single policy that she can do as president.
I gave you three things.
And you just said she can't do them as president. That's what I mean. You haven't named a single policy she can do as president.
That's not what the president. The president can't pass legislation.
No, but a president can lock down the border or open it up. That's the whole point.
No, that's not
what
the
I'm
whole
saying.
point. Oh my God, no. Ideally, you want border policy to be done with the legislature,
Ideally,
as well.
but you don't have to.
You
That's
really
why Trump closed down the border. That's why Joe Biden took an 84 executive
Okay,
order.
okay, everybody calm down. One after another. Okay, so I want to have it like this. He says something, you say something. He says something, you say something. Please don't trip. Just calm down. Okay, Destiny, can you finish your thought?
Yeah,
and then
just
I
a
would
simple question.
Let's
I just
do
want to
it.
know one policy that Donald Trump spoke about, that he suggested. What was one policy position of Donald Trump that he brought up tonight in the debate?
Just one? Tariffs.
Okay. Do you think that Donald Trump knows what a tariff is?
Yeah, given he already implemented them and Democrats loved them so much, they kept them around.
Okay.
Did
Can
they
you
not?
tell me, how is a tariff supposed to lower prices for Americans? Why did Donald Trump seem surprised
Wait, hold on.
when
You
Kamala
asked your
Harris...
question. Let me ask now. Answered your question. Now let me ask you a policy. Name me one policy that Kamala is actually able to implement herself, and not the Congress, but can implement herself. Name one policy that she said that she can implement herself as the chief executive, because that's what she's running for.
what do you think an executive does?
Like implement tariffs, execute executive orders,
Yes,
negotiate with countries. Name the one policy that she said she can do herself without going to Congress.
Let's see. For the office of the presidency, I mean, technically, things that she was talking about with regards to Israel and with regards to Ukraine would be things that she would be able to do on her own.
What did she say? She didn't actually say anything. She said, we must support our allies.
She said it's important that we go down the road for a two-state solution. She said that that's important. It's important to bring to cause a ceasefire to come about, to bring an end to the conflict right now for Ukraine and Russia. She said that it was really important that we continue to defend Ukraine. It sounds like she was supportive of the weapons that we sent there so far, so it sounds like she'll continue to advocate for that and speak with Zelensky about that. I don't know. Those are two positions, but...
Okay, so just to clarify what you're saying. So her policy is two-state solution for Israel, and her policy is to keep funding Ukraine until the last soldiers die. Is that her policy?
I don't know if I would call those policy. Usually when I think of policy, I'm generally thinking of like legislative agendas. Like policies would be like bills that you would pass and stuff. But I mean, I guess you could call those policies, like how she would conduct war, I guess.
But again, she's not unable to go to legislature.
I'm so sorry,
and
I'm done with this line of questioning. If you don't understand how the president works in the U.S. government, or if you're like really upset that the president can't pass bills, this line
Adrian
of
cut in and said, let's do rules, talk one at a time. I know you're uncomfortable with the truth. I know you kind of broke down.
I'm absolutely not uncomfortable with the truth. I'm not breaking down at all.
You
sound like you were born in Moscow. You sound like you're having some trouble right now with the English language. That's fine, no problem. We can go slower if you want.
I speak English because that's the only language you can speak.
Okay.
So let me finish. And maybe we can actually have a conversation on the language you were born with.
I'm done with what can the president do without the legislature? It's a pointless conversation.
Apparently you don't know what a president can do, because you couldn't name a single policy Kamala can do herself. You couldn't. I named a couple.
I'm not interested in executive order. We don't elect presidents so that they can do things by executive order. But that's what we're selecting. We're selecting
the chief executive of the United States. That's what we're selecting. You're not interested.
Yes, the chief executive of the United States, one of the most important things they wield is the veto power. And the veto power is the veto power over the legislature. They're also important because the president of the United States can cheerlead the Congress for their legislative agenda. They can help certain people get elected. They can endorse candidates. They can help people on your down ballot votes. That's one of the largest reasons why you select a president, not just for things that they do by executive order. In the United States of America, sir, we elect presidents that work with our parties. We don't elect dictators that do things on their own. I'm sorry.
The chief executive of the United States is not the cheerleader for Congress. It's a three-party system, three branches of government. They're all equal branches. They have their own right, their own policies, their own ability to go and execute executive actions and so forth. Maybe you're unfamiliar with that.
I'm sorry. No, I'm not familiar with that. I wasn't aware that all three branches of government do their own policies. No.
You cannot name a single policy she can do as president. Not one.
Come back here after you've passed the Khan Academy Civics 101 course on the U.S. government and we can talk, okay?
Come back here when you can name a single policy she can do as president that she mentioned today, because clearly all you're saying is Congress, cheerleader for Congress.
I'm sorry that talking about legislation is so upsetting to you because you just want an authoritarian dictator that will do everything on his own, but that's not how we do it here in the United States, sir. I'm sorry.
I want three co-equal branches of government, what the Constitution allows.
What do you think co-equal means? What does co-equal mean?
Equal in power, authority, and governance.
No. Co-equal means that they have different checks and balances on each other, but they have distinctly different roles. The reason why it's called the chief executive is because they execute the law passed by Congress, the legislature. Congress is where like policy and statutes and laws come from. The president's job is just to execute it. That's why it's called the executive.
That's not correct. You clearly don't understand your own civics, because a president can execute a lot of different things on his own authority, and that authority is periodically challenged by those courts. And that's the most important thing. The Trump all talked about what he can do as president, right? He can do tariffs as president. He can do that. He can close down the border based on the executive actions he's done. He said, "Hey, look, go talk to Border Patrol." He can't do that.
You can't
he told
always,
her,
you can't close the border
today.
for any reason you want as president, and that's not a good way to do immigration policy. Do you acknowledge that you can't rewrite our immigration? You can't rewrite immigration policy as the president, right? Do you acknowledge that?
I'm not talking about immigration policy. I'm talking about the fact that Chief Executive of the United States, the Commander in Chief, has a right to protect the country with armed forces, and that the border is the barrier of the country. That is literally within the line of it.
That's great. I'm not interested in a president trying to rule the border by dictatorship. Like, that should be something that we pass legislation on. That's what the Congress is for. Sorry.
I'm not convincing you to be interested with the border that can pass. I'm asking you a simple question. What's the one policy that Kamala advertised that she can do as chief executive? And you haven't stated one. You stated everything that the Congress can do.
Because the question
let me
tonight.
finish. Please let me finish. Listen, I start sentences and you interrupt. Okay. Please let me finish. She listed a bunch that Congress can do, and she can do that today. She can go talk to Congress tomorrow. She can get in the House and be like, "Guys, look, you guys want to do this? Let's do this. This is going to be good." JD Vance said a tax credit. I copied his idea. Let's get it implemented today, because we can do that. Come on, let's get a bill out. Why not?
She's not the president right now. She's the vice president.
She's a vice president.
The vice president doesn't have the ability to veto, and there's a new Congress coming after the elections. There's a new Congress coming. 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 We have to wait for the Congress to be exchanged with another one. Right now, there's a Republican Congress, or the Republican House. You can't really do much with a bunch of Republicans in the House right now.
She couldn't do much when it was Democrat Senate, then Democrat House either. But the vice president is actually head of Senate, as you said yourself. She's in a better position than the president to go negotiate with the Senate and with the House than the president. You said so yourself.
The head of the Senate, that's like a ceremonial role, basically. Or they cast the tie-breaking vote on legislation. It's not like she has extra powers in the Senate to control legislation. And the Senate is the problem right now. The problem is the House of Representatives.
Again, first of all,
I'm not interested in talking about what do I want the president to do with executive action. That's not how a president is supposed to lead. That's not what we're looking for. It's Americans.
No,
in America, in the United States of America, I'm sorry, sir. You can have your system the way that you do it. I'll prefer mine the way that we do it. That's why my country is better than whatever country you're from, okay? I'm going to go ahead and take my system of government. That's great. I'm sure you are, Andre, okay? If you're from the United States, then you should appreciate our government, and you should appreciate the fact that we have three different branches of government. We have three different branches. We should have three different branches of government. We should have three different branches of government. We should have three. We should have three different branches of government that do three different things. Okay, that's easy.
Exactly. And one of those branches is the one where you had a debate for. It's executive, with executive actions, with foreign policy, and all those policies. It's nothing to do with the Congress. And that's what you're saying. You keep saying Congress, Congress, Congress instead of executive branch. It's three co-equal branches of a government.
Co-equal doesn't mean they have the same powers.
I didn't say they have the same powers. I keep saying that one passes bills, one judges laws, and another one does executive actions. And the executive actions are the actions they can take. And Kamala Harris hasn't named one.
We weren't talking about what executive. We're not. The subject of the debate tonight was not what are the executive actions that you want to take as president.
No, the subject of today was the executive actions, because it's a president's power to do so.
Did they ask? I'm sorry. Which question was?
Including executive actions is the subject of today. Subject of today's presidency, including executive actions, including foreign policy.
That literally wasn't a question. Maybe you just didn't listen to the debate.
Presidency debate for presidency talks about presidency, including executive actions, including foreign policy. Unless you're talking about the House and Congress, then you should watch the House debates.
Okay.
But anyways, Destiny, I really appreciate you entertaining me. This was charged, but hey, we can end it on neutral terms right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an interesting one with the little definitions here.
absolutely based.
Yes. Absolutely base. Yeah. Actually, funnily enough, that was I think the last interaction that we've had. Actually, no, that was the last interaction we've had directly on X. I think we did actually have a conversation when we had a call on Discord just before you interviewed this. I think Zach Voorhees, was it?
Wait, are you asking me, Zach Voorhees?
Yeah.
Was he the guy who that thought everybody was a Fed? Is that I don't remember.
I don't know. I think everybody thinks everyone's a Fed. Let's be real. People think I'm a Fed.
I don't remember. I feel I remember the name, but I don't remember which guy. I've spoken to a lot of people over the past few months. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Google was the Google whistleblower guy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that might have been the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just alluding to the conversations, like you were saying, absolutely based. That was like the last interaction that we had directly on X. Remember when I did this thing where I tried to bait you with a reply just for trolling?
Yeah, I remember that. Oh, well,
It's
hey,
kind
you
of
got
stupid.
your conversation, so it worked, right?
Yeah, it did. I feel like one of the things, like for instance, the space that we had here last time. Yeah, that one was one where I actually just wanted to have more of a conversation. I kept like reiterating that. I kind of like baited you into a debate, and it was kind of bad on false pretenses there. So yeah, I kind of want to apologize even to a certain extent, because I kind of feel like that was a bit dumb. I did get what I needed. I did get an answer out of you as to why, the situation with the guy who got shot at the rally. But yeah, it's still interesting regardless.
Hey, conversations are conversations, so whatever works.
Indeed. Yeah, I think one of the most productive ones we had was the one that we had on Discord. That one was fun.
Yeah, it was a little bit shorter, but yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. One thing that I've always wondered is, how is it that you are able to process information as quickly as you do? Like, you're able to just output extremely quickly. Like, how are you doing that?
Honestly, most of it is repetition, especially when you're debating conservatives. Usually they just have the same talking points over and over and over again, and you don't usually have to know much to counter them. So it's just a matter of remembering what the talking point is, and then remembering what the level 1 retort is to it, and then usually they short circuit like that last guy did, and that's about it. But yeah, for the real answer is, I have the privilege of being able to spend all day doing this. So whereas most people engage like in politics or debate is kind of like you could call it like a hobby or something they kind of do after work, I get to do as my job. So obviously when people see me do it, they're like, holy shit, you're so fucking good. And I am pretty good at it, but also like I get to do it all day, every day as part of my job. Like if everybody had the opportunity to just sit here and scream at people online, they would probably get a lot better at it too. So I benefit a lot from practice and repetition.
Ironically enough, I'd agree with you on that one in full. I've kind of noticed this myself as well. I've been able to kind of output information a lot more quickly than I used to before, because I've been doing like these spaces every single day, like at 9. I like start at 9 Eastern and just kind of keep it going for as long as possible, really. So it kind of does change the way that you speak. Like a lot of what I say is a bit more eloquent than it used to be before. So yeah, I mean, you've been doing this for like, what is it now, 15 years?
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's just in my real life, all I do is I just hedge like ridiculously now whenever people ask me things in real life. Like if a friend says like, oh, do you think we're going to do this in a month or whatever? My answer instead of just be like, oh yeah, it'll be like, well, I guess it depends on what's going on and if we're able to do this. And maybe like I hedge like crazy because I'm always used to getting clipped on every single fucking thing that I say. So
Yeah, funnily enough, the getting clipped on everything you say type of thing is beginning with me as well, to the point where I have to be like extremely self-aware about everything that I say, right? Not because I'm afraid of saying something stupid. I mean, kind of yes, that I say something stupid. It's just that, if every single word, every single thing that you are saying is in fact being clipped, make sure that at least what it is that you're saying makes sense. So
yeah,
that's kind of a thing. It's beginning as well, so that's kind of fun. Yeah, understand now.
True. So anybody else wants to chat, or should I? What do you? Because I have to sleep pretty soon. So
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure. I see a bunch of requests, but none of the people that I know. I actually gave you the co-host role, so if you to see anyone who's requesting that you yourself personally know. I see one guy who is a mutual, who is followed by you.
Wow, what's his name?
I'll just let him up. It's very glitchy. I'm like doing this from desktop right now. Periscope is terrible. Blaze, do you see him on stage? Just the Lycan. Hey, what's up,
Lycan,
dude?
yeah. I suck at. I don't know how to host anything, so I'm watching you do it.
Cool. Yeah, be glad, because on desktop Spaces interface It's an adventure, to put it lightly. On phone is difficult to manage as it is, but on desktop everything starts to lag because there are like, I think, at least right now shown are 150 different profiles. They all do different things right now, so that causes next level errors. But anyways, Lycan, welcome to the conversation.
Hey, thank you. So, watching the debate, the interactions between Trump and Kamala, I feel like Trump was way more willing to be aggressive and actually, take Kamala to task for, the positions that she's been in. And I feel like she tried to rely too much, Stephen. She tried to rely too much on the fact that she's the vice president and not actually in command. And I felt like that was a weakness on her part. How do you feel about the fact that she didn't really own up to
trolling?
Any involvement she had on any of the policies?
He's like pretending to be conservative right now, right? To give me a chance to speak. Well, I mean, the vice president can't do anything technically, right? As like the vice president is basically a ceremonial role. Whatever the president tells the vice president to do, the vice president can go out and do. But there's not much, that the VP can do. I feel like a bigger indictment on somebody's character isn't like what has Kamala Harris not done as the vice president, but why is it that when Trump talks about like fixing immigration or fixing problems like healthcare, whatever, he was already actually the president and he didn't fix any of those things. So I feel like that's the bigger indictment on somebody's character.
Yeah, sure, but it's been 4 years and Kamala's been in office actually like engaging with the president. So I mean, she didn't really speak to like her involvement in those circumstances. Like she kind of hinted at like, oh yeah, I talked to Zelensky before the invasion of Russia, but she didn't really say anything to the effect of, hey, I was the vice president. I actually contributed to X, Y, and Z. She just kind of seemed to distance herself from Biden, tactfully, I will say, but still, distance herself and didn't really take any accountability for her involvement, or at the very least acknowledge that she had any substantial role. So I mean, what's the last 4 years been? If we're going to look to Kamala as the next commander-in-chief, the next person who's setting diplomatic policy, did she really give any substantive reason why we should believe in her when Trump has actually held the office?
I mean, I think the record of Biden has been better than the record of Trump. I mean, they passed more legislation. I think she mentioned that like when they came into office, they had to clean up all of Trump's mess for his like mishandling of COVID and the denial of it even existing until like the absolute last minute. She spoke about going over and talking to Zelensky and everything and having them hopefully as ready as they can be in terms of the invasion. But again, she's the vice president. I don't know. I think she's probably trying to run more on her potential presidency, her future presidency, rather than trying to be like just seen as a Biden stand-in, because all of Trump's attacks have just been centered around kind of weird, crazy attacks on Biden. And Kamala has a record that she can run on in terms of like time in office as a prosecutor and as an attorney general, state attorney general. So it's probably better for her to focus on that and the things that she can bring to the table rather than just trying to run only on Biden's record, would be my guess.
Okay, well, where do you think she substantially differs from Biden as far as, where her policies stand and what do you see in her, whether it's her statements in the debate tonight or things she said in the past? Like, where do you think it stands that she's actually differentiated herself in a way that we can actually trust, considering the fact that, ultimately Biden is the chief executive?
How does she, honest to God, I don't know that much. I can kind of only guess. It's really hard to tell what the exact policy things are going to be because right now the Democrats are the only ones talking about policy. And I feel like you really learn what policy is when you're getting pushback from the other side. And then you kind of like figure out like where the metal meets the road or whatever to figure out what people are actually going to do. But right now, like if this was a traditional debate, Kamala would say something like, we're going to give $25,000 to first-time home buyers. And then the Republican would say something like, oh, well, that you're just giving money to everybody. And that can't be the way that we do things. Like, we're going to make it cheaper to build land by giving tax cuts to developers or something like that. And then you would have like a back and forth debate there. And through that, you would kind of like figure out, okay, well, what are both these sides actually going to try to do on policy? But instead, Kamala Harris brings up that she's going to give a tax credit to new home buyers, and Donald Trump talks about how some of those new home buyers might be Haitian immigrants that are going to be eating cats and dogs on the side of the road, so we don't really get to find out what the actual policy positions are of either future government.
So do you think that that the Harris campaign is trying to make this too much of a referendum on Trump and not enough of setting policy themselves? I mean, it's evocative of Obama's 2008 2008 campaign, right, where he was coming in and not a super experienced legislator, only spent 3 or 4 years in the Senate before he ran, and then the big criticism was, well, he's never set policy. Granted, one cannot argue that he didn't have policy once he got into office, but it does seem that Kamala is doing the same Obama thing, where she's coming in and not a lot of policy is set unless she's has really been put to her to actually say something.
I think attacking Trump's record is good because I think Trump's record was pretty atrocious, and he already lost re-election one time. It's pretty phenomenal that he's running a third time, and he's running with a new vice president because he tried to get his last one killed. So I think bringing up Trump's record is fine. Like, you were president once, it was a pretty bad experience for anybody with a brain in the country, and you didn't even want to. He still doesn't. He said in the debate today that he still doesn't acknowledge that he even lost his last election. So I think that it being a referendum on his record, I think, is totally fine. Yeah.
Meow, I wouldn't disagree, Meow, that Trump has some issues. Obviously, Meow, that he has he's come into the situation where he has said, he has kind of just ignored the criticisms. There's a lot of criticism going on right now that the panel hosts, the debate moderators, were a little too lenient on Trump. But it does seem, Meow, that the situation was Trump got grilled more so than Kamala. Like, how do you handle that?
How do you handle that? I don't think Trump got grilled more. I think Trump got away with a ton. I think sometimes if it seems like somebody's getting treated worse than another person, maybe it's just because that person is just being a worse person. Like, it's so weird. Like, when it comes to crime, Republicans are the exact opposite. They'll go, well, we need to send all the cops to the bad neighborhoods to arrest all of these violent black people that are committing crime all the time. But then when it comes to Trump and people are calling him out all the time for being a dipshit, people are like, why are people being so unfair to Trump? Well, hey, maybe he's just the bigger dipshit, so people need to keep him in line more. I don't know how to counter that. The assumption, it starts off with this default assumption that everybody should be held to the same number of corrections. But what if one person is just wrong? Or
wait, I'm sorry, Stephen. Let's be fucking clear, okay? Now, the fucking panelists, the hosts, they only grilled Trump. I didn't hear a single thing from them towards Kamala that was, hey, you said this, what about this? You said this, what about this? The only time that ever came out, was the situation where Trump said, hey, you are trying to get rid of fracking. You're trying to get rid of those energy jobs, which, to be fair, Kamala had already addressed a few weeks before, after her first kind of appearance in the public eye with Tim Walz, that Tim Walz dual interview. But none of that came towards Kamala. What is that, like, how we need to run our elections in this country, where we don't have any kind of decent criticism of the opposition, where everything is going towards Trump, Trump, Trump?
Well, can you think of a single question that Kamala didn't answer?
Well, Meow, I wouldn't say that. I think that Kamala answered very well, but I think Trump took a different tactic. Trump was going for the more, I'm going to let my opponent respond, and then I'll respond to my opponent rather than directly responding to the moderator.
Okay, well, thanks for the chat. I need to go to sleep pretty soon, so is that everything?
That's all I have.
Okay, thanks a lot, sir. Lycan?
Stephen, nice to meet you.
Have fun. Good luck.
Yeah, nice to meet you too, Lycan. We got Social Acolyte up here real quick. He wanted to talk to you. He's been messaging me, I guess. Do you want to say something real quick? Because Destiny has to actually go.
Yeah, if they want, I can chill for a sec. Yeah, go for it. Fuck it.
Oh, hey, yeah, no. I was just coming up here to vibe. I've not seen the actual debate. The only question I really wanted to ask is how, would a voting, because obviously I'm Australian, not involved in the presidential election in any way, but for Americans in the audience, how should they rationalize the change in policies made by Kamala Harris? Whereas 2 years ago and 3 years ago, she was far more on the extreme left, and now she seems to be pandering to the right wing, where she's like, oh, we need police. Yeah, we need to be supporting our police or whatever. And she's sort of switched on a lot of her policies, going from extreme left to more moderate or even some right on some key issues. Does that signal a lack of authenticity on her part?
No, I think it's kind of a weird attack on Kamala Harris that she's anti-cop when she was a district attorney and then also like an attorney general. I think she's probably always been relatively supportive of the police. I mean, people supported BLM, but I would have to go and check. I don't think she was ever like explicitly supporting these mass, like defund all the police measures or anything. Like she ran to the left of Biden when she was a nominee. So my guess is she's either moderated on some positions because that's where the will of the party is right now, or she has adopted new positions as being part of the Biden administration. But like, remember, when you're running for nominee in a primary, part of what you're doing is figuring out where the soul of the party is or where the will of the people are to win the mandate from the people as part of that primary process. If you run in a primary and you start to see that like, oh, wow, well, some of the ideas or beliefs I have don't align with where my party is right now, you might change your ideas over time, especially if you're part of a new administration. When you run for office again, my guess would be like if Pete Buttigieg were to run for office, he would probably be closer to the Biden administration than where he was when he ran for primary. That'd be my guess. So
Yeah, I actually on a more fundamental level, I actually really support people changing their views over time. Like that signals like good character to go from one view to another. Like that shows that you're like not just a dogmatic individual. So like in that event, I actually do support changing of views and like a more moderate person versus like discussing like all things on like the far left. Like if everything you think is the far left, that's like, come on, man, But like if you're like show that you can like pick and choose some ideas and like can change over time, that's like obviously a really positive human trait, but I just don't think that's what she's doing. I think it's far more reasonable to point out the fact that like, oh, she was pandering in 2020 and in 2022 and in 2021, and then all before that, and then also on the weird, like I mentioned cop, that was just like one example, but like it just seems that she's swung far more to the right during this really key moment, which does signal to me a lack of authenticity, rather a genuine change in her viewpoint. But yeah, I
think it's important when we talk about like pandering. I mean, she is a politician, and at the end of the day, her mandate comes from the people, and her goal is to win an election. So if the public has a view that they want to see, like let's say that you run on 15 an hour minimum wage because you think that 15 an hour minimum wage is the best thing for the country and that that's what most people want, and then you find out that people want like a $12 an hour minimum wage, and then for the next election you're like, okay, well this is what people want, I think that I'm going to push for a $12 minimum wage. Like, is that like pandering in a negative way? I mean, if you're adopting or changing your views,
taking feedback and taking like recalibrating your viewpoints isn't pandering, but it is pandering when you like don't accurately display what you truly believe and what you'll truly do just at the key moment when you have to get their votes to win the election.
Do you think she's going to get elected and like change what she would run on?
I'm not even sure if she's even going to get elected, but
yeah, but I'm asking, if she were to win the election, do you think she's going to like come into office and suddenly be like, okay, now that I'm here, we're going to go super anti-cop? Like she would lose the support from her party.
I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know it well enough. I'm an Australian, but yeah, no, it just doesn't signal to me a really strong basis for signaling authenticity. Like it just seems like right at the key moment, she flips her opinion, and then it's like, oh, okay, now that she's got like the votes, now she can like accurately display what she wants to do now that she's elected or whatever.
I don't. I haven't. The thing is I don't know. There's
I'm not asking you.
Sure, but I don't know where the indication is that she's being like inauthentic. I have no idea. Like what's
right during this election cycle, she's like suddenly switched her views from like this long extended viewpoint where we've seen Kamala and we've seen that her views have been like really quite far left.
Well, far left on what?
On like a large range of issues. Like for example, she did in fact signal like support for BLM back in 2020.
Wait, do you think she doesn't support BLM? Wait, supporting BLM is a lot different than like saying we need to defund and get rid of all the police.
Yeah, no, I know. But like the point is, it just does seem like you could pin me down and ask like, well, what? And like I could say like, oh, I don't really know, but like I think it's reasonable enough to point out like before she was far more left, and now during this election cycle she's far more right. And then as a result of that, it just seems like just specifically during this election cycle, which doesn't seem like a natural transition in her viewpoint, but rather as a way to win specific votes that she feels like she needs to do to win the election. And it seems deeply dishonest and manipulative.
Well, I guess the question would be, how do you feel about Trump changing his viewpoints over time? Do you think that that's like represented an honest change in view?
Yeah, I just don't pick up on the same lack of authenticity. I feel like that guy speaks his mind much more clearly and much more honestly.
So when Donald Trump ran on,
feel like he's like,
when Donald Trump ran on repealing and replacing the Affordable Care Act, and then after he failed miserably at that, he tried to sign into law like protecting pre-existing conditions, which was one of the most important aspects of the ACA. That felt authentic to you?
To be honest, I don't know. I don't know what that is because like I'm Australian, but like
what's
I've
like a
just never
consistent
got-
throughput of like authentic like policy position that you feel Donald Trump has had?
Yeah, like, do you think like the person that's like running this campaign actually believes the policies that they're putting forward? Do you think that's actually something they believe, or is it that they believe it's like a strategic thing they have to support to win the election, and that otherwise, if they didn't need to do it to win the election, they wouldn't support this policy?
No, I
just
think they
I just
genuinely.
never-
No, I think they genuinely support it because if you look at the work the Democrats do, they put in the work in the presidency, they put into the work in the legislature, and they put in the work at the local level. But Biden passed more joint, like huge legislative accomplishments than like any president in recent history, and he did it in a historically divided Congress. That doesn't happen unless you really believe in the things that you're pushing, right?
Hmm. Uh. Yeah, I mean, I suppose just as someone who doesn't like live in the United States, I just don't know these policies well enough. But yeah, no. Thanks for chatting. I'll just probably put myself on mute.
Okay.
Yeah, by the way, Destiny, if you'd like to go, you're free. You're kind of like free to leave whenever you want. But anyways, thank you for coming, though. It was nice as always.
Yeah, no
and
problem.
thank you to whomever shared the links to this in your chat. So
If there's any other big duders that want to chat, I can stay and chat with them, or otherwise I can take off. It's up to you.
Maybe there is one person as well, like blowing up my DMs. Let's see.
Muting. Is there a way to get
Sure, if
fucking?
that's
Is there a way to
okay.
get Twitter to stop
Okay, I hope he's
fucking
not gonna start
lowering my
yelling.
microphone volume? It's so fucking annoying. It keeps doing it. I have to keep dragging it. Is there any way to get it to not do this?
I swear, I saw the request.
How do I
for
make
6
Chrome not
minutes.
adjust my fucking microphone volume? It's so fucking annoying. It keeps making
There's
it go
a lot
lower.
of people that are requesting that I don't know. It's like,
Like I'm talking right now, it's going lower
No,
and
I
lower and
don't think
lower.
there's
Oh, now
anyone-
it's just
there's
oh, but if
anyone
I talk
else.
really
I will
quiet,
let
maybe if I talk
him
really
up
quiet,
here.
it'll
I've
go
seen
back
one
up.
guy
It's so
who's-
fucking
could
annoying.
potentially be interesting. And then we could wrap it up if you'd like.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. What's up, my man?
I apologize. My PC exploded, so this is my first time doing this on the phone. I apologize.
This happens. Yes, this happens. Anyways, welcome to the conversation. Got anything
Oh,
for Destiny?
I thank you for having me.
God.
Destiny, it is a pleasure.
Texas proud.
So I guess
This is Russian 100%. I can feel
man,
them now.
we're speaking a lot strongly on the term of policy and whatnot. So I guess if you
What?
could just give me a quick recap of where we're at, Destiny, where we're at as far as like topics are concerned, as far as the debate has gone. If you could help me out with that, and then we can get started, if that's okay.
In terms of, or what exactly are you asking? Like what the topics of the debate were over for the debate tonight, or?
Well, I know the topics. I did watch it. I was just there was a lot of things that you were saying that did kind of spike my curiosity. You know, as far as you know, when a presidential candidate comes in, and you know, there's not we want to talk about executive order and whatnot, but I mean, the first thing I always default to whenever you were speaking of that is I will go straight to the Keystone Pipeline. You know, I mean, that was executive action day one. So,
Okay,
I guess
I'm not when I'm thinking of like a person running for president. My major interests aren't just what they're going to do via executive order. That's, I mean, I'm pretty sure the current administration supports oil quite a bit. The United States is producing more oil now for the world than they ever have in the history of the United States. That includes things like fracking. Kamala hasn't signaled that she's going to do anything to touch that. I would imagine anybody would want her to, so that's not really a thing that I'm worried about. I don't think that the next administration, whoever they are, is going to do much to threaten what America is doing right now for energy.
okay. Well, she says that, but she's said alternatively in the past. So, what's to make it believe that she's going to do what she's saying now versus what she said in the past, and she's not just saying it to cater favor for voters?
What she said in the past in a primary, she lost. If she would have won the primary in the past and gotten elected, I think she probably would have tried to do those things. But she didn't have the mandate from the party for those ideas back then. She does have the mandate from the party for the ideas now. And the idea that she would like fill out a cabinet and get everybody who is on the Democratic side in Congress like all on this agenda and then become in as the president and then just switch up, that just seems unbelievably unlikely. Like, Like she cast the tie-breaking vote on the infrastructure bill, and that infrastructure bill included a lot of money that was set aside for fracking. Like I don't think she's just going to like magically 180 on this.
Well, yeah, I will also remind you that the said infrastructure bill also promoted tax on tips. So
Okay. What do you
that's
mean?
factually true. I'm just saying, you know.
Wait. What's the point of
can't-
what's the point of bringing that up?
Well, I mean, if you want to say that you were the deciding factor on a vote for a bill that ends up being something that you're going to backtrack on later, why would you want to trust that person when they've voted against something that they are now going to go for in order to stay in power?
For anything relating to higher taxes on tips, my guess is this is probably put in as a negotiating point with Republicans, not because Democrats would want it. What didn't Joe Biden himself say that they wanted to sign a bill that would have gotten rid of taxes on tips? But I don't think that bill is ever going to make its way through the Congress. Like you're talking about legislation that's negotiated. These are bipartisan bills that are like have huge involvements with Republicans as well, right?
Right. So, I mean, just saying something is bipartisan doesn't exactly make it so. And also, I would remind you on the Infrastructure Act and the, whatever act you want to call it, how much money went to Ukraine in those bills?
I don't think the infrastructure bill had any money earmarked for Ukraine, did it?
Did it? I'm not exactly sure. I do know that some of the bills that they passed through had some hidden spending that became highly questionable as of Rand Paul. I'm on my phone. My computer is fried, so I don't have pages pulled up like I normally do. But it seems like you could name something colorful and flowery to make it sound good, but the hidden spending that comes within it could also be like a toxic detriment. And it seems like that's something that a lot of people are easy to overlook when you pass a 4,800-page bill, for example, 24 hours before it's supposed to be voted on, so nobody has a chance to look through it. And the infrastructure bill, and these are the facts, all sources available at louderwithcrowder.com, that, yeah, I had to throw that in there, sorry, that the infrastructure bill did, in fact, pass a tax on tips. So I'm
when
just
you say
curious,
tax on tips, I don't know what that means because tips are already taxed. What was there like a special extra bill?
No, they're not.
Wait, what do you mean? Wait, what do you mean they're not?
Cash transaction. They're not recorded in the books.
I'm sorry, excuse me. They absolutely are taxed. You have either never worked a job before or you're not aware of how taxes are filed in the United States. But in the United States of America, you're absolutely supposed to account for your tips and you're supposed to pay taxes on those tips. If you're not, you're committing tax fraud.
I was a general manager for Domino's for 2 years. I know exactly how I know exactly how tips and taxes work.
Okay, well, hold on. If you were a manager at a pizza place, then you know that if you had a point of sales system that had credit card tips, those probably automatically got added to the paychecks of your employees where taxes were accounted for. Or if you got cash tips, you might have paid them out in cash, but those employees are supposed to report those on their, back then it would have been probably a 1040 EZ at the end of the year or in April or whatever before tax filing. You can't just take tax.
It would be a 1040 EZ, or if to a more severe degree, it would be a 1099 G if as a streamer, you would know what a 1099 G is.
You give 1099 tips for your employees at a pizza place?
Well, no, I didn't. I'm just saying, if we were going to go that route, that's probably the way it would go to some places, like say a bar, for example, if it's just a straight cash bar, we're talking very small businesses here. I'm not talking about what I did. I'm just saying as an example.
A straight cash bar should still be accounting for all of their money. What you're talking about is just tax fraud. It's very common with small businesses.
It does, and I'm not saying that it doesn't. But like I'm saying, the tax on tips thing is kind of like besides the point.
Also, I don't know what the 1099-G is. Did you mean to refer to a 1099-K? Because that's what I get from PayPal. 1099-K is electronic 1099 forms, and I'm sure there are other versions of 1099s as well. But also, I'm still not sure what you mean by tax on tips from the infrastructure bill. You're supposed to pay tax on tips. What provision are you talking about?
Well, it's just like I'm saying, the according to what I've heard,
I don't know what you've heard. I can't respond to that. According to what I've heard, like Martians are invading tomorrow. I don't know how anybody. I don't know how I'm supposed to respond.
Well,
to that.
that's fair. We can move on to something else.
Okay.
As far as the debate goes, what do you say to all of the things that have been criticized of Trump from Kamala Harris that could have been done now?
What do you mean by that? Criticized? Kamala can't do anything.
Well,
She's the
the
she's
border
the vice
and everything
president.
else. I mean, you like. Here's the thing. Everybody says it's like, yeah, the vice president doesn't have no power. The vice president doesn't have this. The vice president doesn't have that, and that's a fair assessment. But now, President Biden isn't the president anymore.
He is the president still.
They have forced him out.
I can't engage. I have no answer for you.
14 million votes.
If it's on conspiracy, I can't engage. The president right now is Joe Biden. I can't
This isn't a conspiracy. This is
is
fact. It's 14 million votes towards President Biden for the incumbent, and then they forcefully took him out without any explanation and inserted Kamala Harris in. So is not now she the president?
Why didn't Trump do any debates this cycle before getting the nomination?
Which debates didn't he do?
He didn't ever debate with Nikki Haley. He didn't do any debates with DeSantis. Why not?
Why would he want to debate Nikki Haley?
Why not? Because we should have open primaries where people are competing with each other, and he'd already lost one election. Why would he assume that he would
Nikki
be coordinated?
Haley is in competition. Why would you want
She
to
was. She was
debate
running for the nomination.
non-competition?
Why didn't Donald Trump do any debates? If he's so smart, if he's so good, if he has all the experience, why didn't he do any debates with him? Was he afraid, or?
Hey, where is Nikki Haley now?
It doesn't matter. I'm asking why. Where's Joe Biden
Okay,
now?
well, if
He's
it
now
doesn't
it's Kamala
matter,
Harris.
then why would you want to
Okay,
debate
then
her?
I agree. Then it doesn't matter. So Kamala Harris is the nominee, and Donald Trump is the nominee, and these are the two people running against each other. Joe Biden is still the president.
Okay,
that hasn't
if
changed
she's
as far
the
as I'm aware.
nominee,
So
then she's the incumbent. So
no,
why
she's not
hasn't
the
she done
incumbent. That's not
anything
what.
now?
That's not how the English language works, and that's not what nominee or incumbent means. Like,
Well, she is now the incumbent. She's running as the incumbent because she was already vice president, and now they're making her president. They've suddenly shuffled her in. So I would like you to explain to me how you think that would work.
well, generally, if you win over 270 electoral votes on January 6th, you get certified as being the president, and then on
She didn't
January
win
20th
270 electoral votes, though.
No, she hasn't.
Joe Biden.
Because we haven't had an election yet. That's correct.
Okay, so why is she now the incumbent?
She's not the incumbent. She's the nominee.
Yes, she is. She's running as the Democratic nominee. Well, I mean, I guess you could break that on technicality. So
No,
I
it's
will
not
give
really
you that.
technical. It's kind of like the taxes on tips thing that you just completely made up. Or maybe you saw it on a Louder with Crowder link, which also makes things up. So it's the same thing, I guess.
Fair enough. But I guess I'm just kind of confused as to why you're gonna say one thing and then say another when it comes to something that is conflicting information. I guess it's kind of confusing to me as a regular person.
Don't worry, I can tell.
Well, that's not an explanation. That's just a blatant confirmation of nothing.
Yeah, and that wasn't a question. That was just random meandering, kind of like what Trump did in the debate all night.
How did he meander?
He didn't directly answer basically a single question, and he gave unhinged.
What did he not answer?
When he was asked to identify basically any specific policy in response to almost anything, he seemed unwilling or unable to answer the question.
What is anything?
I mean,
You're not going to get by with broad generalizations with
Well,
me,
I mean, you
Stephen.
tried to
I'm
do
just
broad
telling you right now, so you
generalizations
better
for
get down to
literally the
specifics.
entirety of the day. You're literally giving broad generalizations on legislation. He was asked directly, like 3 times, if he would veto a national abortion ban. He didn't respond to that. He refused to the entire time. He kept saying, "Oh, it wouldn't matter."
He didn't. He did answer it. He said he would leave it to the states. It's not up.
That's
to
not
him.
a que- that's
And there's
no. That's
such
not.
thing
That's
as
not an answer.
abortion ban. So that's
That's
already
not an
a lie.
answer. If
So
the
you're leading with a lie.
if the Congress passes an abortion ban, would he veto it? That was the question, and he wouldn't answer it. And you're not answering it too. You're playing the same game.
There's no need to veto it.
Exactly. You're
because
playing
he
the
left
same
it to
game.
the
You're not
states,
answering.
dude.
You're not answering.
That is the answer.
You're not answering.
There's no need to veto it.
There is
because
no.
left
It's
to the
called a
states.
hypothetical.
He
That's
took
when
it
they
out of
say
federal power, dude.
what. No, he didn't take it out of federal power.
Yes,
he got
did.
no.
He left it to the states, and
didn't
now the
do
states
anything.
are
The
voting and
Supreme
people are
Court-
voting. There is no such thing as an abortion ban. That is a lie.
The Supreme Court went back on a prior Supreme Court ruling The Congress could pass a law relating to abortion, and they haven't. But if they do, will Trump veto it? That was the question, and he didn't answer.
And he said it is up to the states. It's up to the people to decide. It's not up to him, and it's not up to the federal government.
That's not true, though. That's not true.
Small government.
That's
we don't
not
need
true.
big government
That's
making
not
decisions
true.
for the rest
We
of us.
literally have a big government. It's called the federal government, and state governments are pretty big as well. So,
It's called the executive branch of one of the three branches of government.
what the executive branch has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. What are you talking about?
Well, the executive branch, which is the presidential branch, has the ability to veto any laws that come through the other branches of government.
The other branches, yeah.
Why would you want to say there is an abortion ban when there is clearly not, when it has been passed down for the ability for the people to vote on a state level basis?
If it were really cold in your house right now, how would you feel?
I'd feel awesome.
Okay.
Can I get a
I'm from the Arctic Circle. You're not going to get by with me on the cold. So what does that have to? I'm just saying, dude. Like, if
You're not saying anything. It's a simple
I don't
hypothetical,
know
and
how-
you're scared of it the same way that Trump is. Or you guys truly just can't like compute basic grammar or syntax anymore. The question is if Congress passes an abortion ban, would you veto it? Or if Congress passes some type of abortion
Congress
allowance,
isn't going
would you
to
veto?
pass
That's
an
not an
abortion
answer.
ban
Do you understand that you're
because
not
it's
answering
not up
it?
to
You are having a
Congress.
psychotic break with reality right now, sir.
Roe
You are,
v.
you are
Wade
losing
is
your mind.
eliminated. It's
You're
not up to
losing your
Congress.
mind.
It's out of the federal
Roe v. Wade
government's
has
hands at that
nothing
point.
to
So
do.
it's a
No,
moot question.
Roe v.
It has
Wade
no
has
meaning.
Roe v. Wade has nothing to do with the federal government. Roe v. Wade has nothing to do with Congress. Okay.
Yes, it is.
No.
It was left up to the federal government.
No, it wasn't. That's not what Roe v. Wade does or means. Okay. The question is if Congress, the federal Congress, were to pass a law banning abortion, would you veto it? If they did, would you veto it? That's the question.
Okay, so how would that particular scenario come into play?
Well, Congress,
How would
they
it-
take
how
a piece
would-
of paper. I
what-
can show you the
I want
cartoon
to
if you
give
want
me
for how a bill
what the
becomes a law.
scenario
If that's-
of- I'm sorry, go ahead.
Congress would pass a bill. It could start in the Senate or the House, and the bill would say something like, now abortion is illegal all across the United States of America. And then the president would have that bill on his desk. And then the president could write veto in a big red, with big red letters, or he could give it the stamp and say, I approve of this bill, and now it's a law. And the question is, which one of those two actions would Donald Trump do?
Well, yeah, but okay, sure. In that scenario, I
Which
can
was the question.
see where you're getting at.
Well,
But-
that's a question. It's a very straightforward question. I don't need you to do any.
It is, and I
Thank
agree
you.
with you on that. But I'm just saying, that scenario will never come into play because it's not up to them.
It can be, yes. Congress right now could
How
pass
could
it.
it be?
Well, they could go to the House or the Senate first. They could make a bill that says we're going to ban abortion, and both houses could agree on it, and then they could send it to the president.
Okay, so how would that happen?
Do you want me to explain the entire part of how legislation is passed? I don't know what you're asking me.
I'm just trying to get to the. I'm just trying to figure out why you're drawing the conclusions that you're drawing, because how can you create an imaginary scenario from something that lawfully cannot exist if it's left up to individual states of the union versus the federal government?
Okay, I swear to God, I'm not trying to be an asshole right now. What do you think Roe v. Wade was about? Or what do you think Roe v. Wade did?
As far as my understanding, it left abortion laws in the hands of the federal government, which left them to draw conclusions and make laws regardless of the will of the people of individual states.
Okay, so
Am I close?
not really.
I'm kind of close.
What Roe and Casey did was basically make it so that states couldn't pass laws around abortion, like restrictive laws around abortion, basically. They made it so that these types of laws would be unconstitutional because they would violate certain types of equal protections, complicated constitutional bullshit, doesn't matter. But that's what Roe v. Wade did. When they got rid of Roe v. Wade, when they said, okay, no more Roe v. Wade decision, no more Casey decision, we're getting rid of these, what that means is that states are now allowed to pass laws that were previously would have been struck down as being unconstitutional because of Roe or because of Casey. However, the federal government could also pass a law. The federal government could pass a law saying everybody gets free abortions all the time, or the federal government could still pass a law saying nobody has any abortions. Before, when the Supreme Court made abortion a protected right in the United States, they did so through an interpretation of constitutional amendments, basically. They did it through the Constitution, not through passing a bill. So now that Roe and Casey are gone, the federal government, the Congress, could still pass a bill banning abortion, or I don't know if they could pass a bill making it so abortion has to be available, but that's the thing that could happen. And that's why the question is put to Trump, hey, if Congress was to pass a law banning abortion, would you veto it, or would you allow it to stand? Would abortion be banned in the United States of America? That's what the question is about, yeah.
Okay, I think I kind of understand where you're coming from, but to put it on the other side of the aisle, I guess, if you could say, it almost seems like Trump was trying to say is that, you know, it shouldn't be up to Big Brother to make that decision. It should be the will of the people of the state. And I think that's kind of where we're getting a little bit, where we're getting our wires crossed in this. Because, you know, I mean, I'm not pro-life or pro-choice in that aspect. I'm kind of a moderate, you know. I mean, I've suddenly become conservative.
Yeah, I know. Every moderate on Twitter is. It would still be Big Brother deciding, right? Why do you think the state government is any less Big Brother than the federal government?
Well, well, because it's smaller and it's easier for people of the state to dictate what it is that their state wants. But then again, that also comes down to people's ability to be informed and voting on a more local basis, like your city council.
Yeah, but we're not talking city council. We're talking the state. Do you think if you go to the hospital and the state government tells you that you can't do anything, do you think that feels any less insurmountable than the federal government? Like, if your whole state if the state has banned a thing, that's as much Big Brother as the federal government is.
Okay, so which state says that you can't?
I mean, I don't know the abortion laws in every state. I do know that to the north of me, I'm pretty sure Georgia has made it so that you can't have an abortion. I think it's past 6 weeks. If you want,
so is there an abortion ban anywhere in any state in the United States?
I mean, 6 weeks is that's basically like an abortion ban.
So there's not an abortion ban. Okay, thank you.
What point do you think you're moving? Do you think that I don't think you know anything about. Never mind.
I don't know a single woman alive that doesn't know she's pregnant past the first morning. I'm just saying.
Thank you for saying that, because it's a bigger self-report than anything I could possibly say, though.
I don't have any kids. I just know people. I'm good at talking to people. I'm just telling you that if you think that you don't know if you're pregnant or not past 6 weeks, you're either stupid, on drugs, or both.
Okay, well, and this is not to be super woke, but this is why women get really triggered when men talk about women's rights.
I'm just saying, how ignorant do you have to be to let the federal government have control?
Not
of your
ignorant
life?
at all to miss one period and instantly just assume or know for a fact that you're pregnant. Like by the time 6 weeks rolls around, you might just
sell
be discovering.
pregnancy tests at the dollar store, dude. Come on.
Pregnancy tests don't even have a high degree of accuracy until after you've missed your first period.
Then go to the free clinic.
I don't think you can get a pregnancy test at 1 week pregnant. You have to wait until you've missed your period, which I think is around 2 to 3 weeks.
You speaking from personal experience?
No, I'm speaking because I know a little bit about a woman's body.
A little bit is putting it very accurately.
Wait, what?
All right, I guess that's enough.
Let's not be.
I appreciate you.
Also, I would just to be clear. I'm sorry, because now I looked this up. So Alabama, Arkansas, Idaho, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, and West Virginia have a near total ban in place for abortion. Some of these have exceptions.
What is the total ban? What is near total ban? Near total ban doesn't mean anything, dude. It's either a ban or it's not. You can't say near total ban. That's like double speak. You're double speaking.
Okay, yeah. So the exceptions are for rape or incest in most of these places.
Yes, and those exceptions have been made abundantly clear that is within the acceptable terms, regardless of time.
That's an abortion ban, though. So that means you can't get an abortion unless you.
No, it's not, because it's still allowed, so it's not a ban. A ban means not at all. You can't change the definition of a word to favor your viewpoint.
It's effectively a ban. If you have to prove that you've get,
So
that
it's effectively, so it's not a ban.
congratulations. You know what? If you guys lose the election on this technicality, then man, I'm so sorry. I don't know how you didn't pull women over to your side with the best argument here ever. Well, you could get an abortion as long as you can prove that you got raped or incested. Like, congratulations. You got it, dude.
What?
Can we change the topic? Destiny, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
On foreign, I know foreign policy wasn't a big topic of the debate, although they both were asked a question. On Kamala's answer about which I view as kind of foreign policy laziness, the solution to the violence in the Middle East is a two-state solution, and how I don't think you and I ever talked that, when we had our conversation on if that's the answer to the current situation against Hamas, or let alone in the Middle East, is just got to get to that two-state solution. Although it isn't something that anybody's ever been able to do, despite years of administrations trying to do. And what you think about that policy?
I mean the two-state solution is obviously something that you have to make some kind of effort towards. But I saying two-state solution is kind of like saying we have to settle life on another planet. Like, that's a way out there thing. I think she answered. I think she gave pretty much the same answer that the Biden admin is giving right now, and what she said right now, that some kind of ceasefire has to be reached. Israel has to be more careful in how they conduct their war. It's basically just kind of like the boilerplate answers right now for it, saying that we need some type of two-state solution. I guess signals like the most kind of like milquetoast, lukewarm take on Israel-Palestine. But I wouldn't expect them to hash out all the details there.
All right, I think it's just it's a very lazy answer to a real question of, if you're saying you got to get to a ceasefire, that's the solution. Although that, as you and I have talked, that's never what Hamas has ever asked for. So let's dig a little deeper here. Hopefully, in the next debate, it'll be pushed a little. Like, no, what's your plan? What's your solution other than forcing a ceasefire?
I would be in favor of that. I would be in favor of that, but only if Kamala goes second, and only if they force Trump to answer first. And are willing to waste the entire 2 hours asking him over and over and over again for an actual answer. Because Donald Trump's answers for foreign policy have always just been, I'll be strong, I'll sit down and I'll figure it out, I'll make them sign peace, I'll send them a picture of their home. If Trump actually answers that question, then I think Kamala should go ahead and give the answer. But no, to have her sit there and try to spell out all of the detailed intricacies and nuances of foreign policy with the Middle East, no. I would be shocked if Trump could talk anything about that region without Kushner, by his side. Trump didn't even manage the foreign policy for the Middle East. It was basically Kushner, I'm pretty sure, doing all the work on that. So, if Trump wants to answer those questions, I'd be interested to hear. But every single time Trump is tasked with talking foreign policy, all I've heard him say over and over again, he said this on Lex too, well, I'm not going to say what I'm going to do. I don't want to give away my plans. That's what he said over and over again.
He does give the statistics of Iran's wealth versus then and now. There's a couple of nuances there. I'm not defending either side. I'm just saying it really bothers me that the two-state solution gets incorporated into a question like that when it is ridiculous it's just as equal treatment on both sides. You're not giving an answer, and you just gave an answer that isn't a solution to anything, talking about what's going on right now.
Yeah, sure. It's definitely it's painting with a very broad brush. I don't disagree with that, yeah.
All right, it's good to talk to you. That's the only thing I had. I don't have the where that last conversation meandered to, but thanks.
Yeah. Oh, thanks a lot. And yeah, it was fun chatting.
Yeah, epic. Anyone else? Does anyone else have any comments or such? Destiny, how much time do you think you still have left?
Listen, you know what? If people want to jump in and chat, I'm here for it.
That's cool. I'll check some of the requests, see if I can find someone who I think is familiar, or at least I know of. This one. Here, this person is back, who's been asking me, hey, I would like to talk to this guy. Okay, let's see how that works out. Vice, do you see a new person enter the stage yet, or no?
Yes, he's there. I'll help you.
Okay, there, perfect. Hello, welcome to the conversation. Please make sure, I've seen your DMs. I'm not sure how you're gonna kind of move forward here, but Yeah. What's up? No screaming.
Hey, Destiny, how's it going? It's a pleasure to speak to you. I can't believe I got the mic. I've never met Adrian.
Beautiful.
This is the first time. I just had a question for you, Destiny. Why is one eye of your lights? Are you in the Illuminati? Are you a Satanist? Or are you just plain stupid?
I can't possibly be the Illuminati or Satan because my Mossad handlers wouldn't allow me to worship the devil. We can only worship Yahweh and whatever the Jewish gods approved are. I'm sorry.
Okay, so why don't you have both your eyes light up? Like, what type of symbolism are you trying to put through?
I don't know. People just like email me stuff and tell me to copy some things, and I get a paycheck in the mail, usually signed by George Soros or sometimes Bill Gates, and yeah, I just follow instructions.
Yeah, so so you do get paid out by George Soros. Is that the same guy who supplied bricks and committed treason against the country? So I just wanted to ask a question. Are you in favor of 7-month abortions, 8 months abortion, 9 months abortion, or when the baby's on the table?
I usually like to have the. I would say that abortion up to 2 years of age is probably best because that gives you enough time to kind of like test drive the baby.
Just a troll,
like
so your brain's just fried.
Well, that's because I'm the product. Because my mom tried to abort me. I'm actually an abortion survivor. My mom tried to abort me, and they saved me on the table. So my brain's a little fucked up sometimes. Unfortunately,
Oh
I'm
God,
sorry.
maybe she should have. You're so damn dumb.
She tried to, but thankfully Donald Trump and the rest of the pro-life Republicans saved me, and here I am on life support.
Yeah, so this is the first time I've heard you care about the people of Alabama, the people of
I'm
the
sorry
Middle States.
if I gave that impression. I don't care about the people of Alabama. My bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know you don't, because you're one of those people who hate the whole country.
Yep, the country of Alabama is one of the worst I've ever heard of.
Yeah, so I guess so what do you think is so funny about destroying America? Are you an evil person deep down in your heart?
Well, I mean, I wasn't until the Jews made me that way. So I just I'm like a bounty hunter. I'm a mercenary for horrible anti-American ideas. And right now, the Mossad is the highest payer, so that's where I'm at.
Oh, so you're an agent for the Mossad. Well, it's a good thing that they think you're an idiot and they use you as a tool.
Yeah, no problem. I hope one day I'll be able to get paid the same amounts that your favorite content creators got paid out by Russia. But right now, Mossad's only offering, I think it's like 10,000 a month.
Russia, the same. Well, yeah, you really talk so fast. Listen, I can talk 10 times faster and run circles around you, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Why did Putin endorse Kamala Harris? Because he loves. Why are you in favor of millions of people dying in the Ukraine? And if you're such a Mossad agent, why are you in favor of Hamas and World War III?
Honestly, because they said that they didn't know which weapons World War III would be fought with, but they knew that World War IV would be fought with sticks and stones. And I figured that if we can just get to that, war, I'd be able to participate without as much of a threat of death. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the stick wars.
Well, now I understand why only one of your eyes is lit up and not both of them, because you're a dim bulb.
Absolutely, yeah. They installed those LEDs, and it's never been the same since.
I think you're probably getting a little tired, and you might be going to bed soon. Because I would like 3 hours with you, because you'll be in a straitjacket at the end of 3 hours.
Honest to God, I think anybody talking to you for 3 hours would feel like they'd want to be in a straitjacket by the end of it. But
exactly, that's because I'm talking so much common sense into your brain. I live inside your head rent free.
You're absolutely true.
It's called common sense. Yeah, absolutely true. Thank you for admitting the truth. Maybe your Mossad agents might send you a little bit more cash.
I thought they only pay me to lie.
I guess they do only pay you to lie.
Yeah, this conversation's lit, not gonna lie.
Well, Alabama's not sending their best all the time.
Stand this guy. Well, I'm not from Alabama. I'm from the free state of Florida, Miami, motherfucker.
Oh, cool. Me too. We had a crazy storm tonight, huh?
No, not around me. Maybe God wasn't too happy with you, and he had a crazy storm around you.
Yeah, or maybe you can't actually hear the rain from inside the padded cell. You're too deep in the institution right now.
Yeah, whatever that means, buddy. I think with your thought patterns, hey, why don't you ask your wife who she's voting for? Did she leave your ass?
Well, considering the fact that my wife was Swedish, I don't think she was voting for anybody in America. I would hope
wasn't
not.
Your wife other men? Why does anybody give this guy a platform?
Well, she was your dad while I was your
aren't
mom.
You like
we were having a giant orgy foursome.
Yeah. Now you're bringing my mom.
If you want to get personal, all right? You want to tell everybody why you hate me so much? Listen, I'm not going to keep your mom's name out of my mouth. I want to keep my her ass, and that's why he's so mad at me. He walked in on all of his It traumatized the out of him, and here he is.
Bro, you're so
Okay,
funny.
he saw me his
the
mom, and he was like,
funniest guy
"Mom,
on
what? The,
earth."
Mom, you promised me you would never anybody besides Dad and your brother, and here you are with Destiny's buried in your ass." Okay, screaming.
Bro, you're a nasty. You should repent for your sins.
I'm nasty.
You're the nastiest guy of all time.
Are you serious?
Talking
Your mom's
about-
the one that was doing
My
ass to
mother's
mouth,
like
bro. I was
60
just there
years
getting
old.
sucked off. Don't get mad at me.
You're into grandmothers, man. You're pretty gross.
Well,
What do you have to that? Whelp? Yep, whelp.
I mean, she's a mother and a grandmother. Grandmothers need love too.
Yeah, I know. Well, she. My mother's someone, I guess. You know what? Keep my mother's name out of your mouth. What else? So you're in favor of 7-month, 8-month, 9-month abortions, huh?
All the way up to 48 months. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. What else is there? You're in favor of the Ukraine war. Are you in favor of Zelensky going all the way to Moscow?
Like with the Ukrainian army? Sure, why not?
Oh my God! Let's just blow up the whole world with nukes. That's what this Destiny. What's your real name? Because it certainly isn't your destiny. I think your destiny is to be in a straitjacket. You're so damn dumb.
Do you think so?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, thanks for the productive conversation. It was,
Well, I think just give Donald Trump 6 months and you might be in one.
Oh, man.
okay. I'll do my best. All right. Okay, Adrian, I love you. I'm gonna sleep soon, but it's been fun.
Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Oh
Yeah,
you're
definitely
getting
has.
real tired.
Definitely has.
You're getting real tired.
Okay,
You
my
don't-
dude.
you can't spare me another 5 minutes?
My dude.
Sorry for
Jesus
being
Christ.
so fast. I just hate that guy.
No,
so
my
much.
dude. Time out, man. Time out. We're kind of, we need to
All
let
right,
go.
I'll take it slow.
Hey, that's the same thing I said to your mom last night.
Poor guy. Oh my God, real funny.
I was like,
This guy's resorting
Dude, this
to
whole
mom
conversation
jokes
was
instead of
great.
policy. He's just like
I
Kamala
mean,
Harris.
you're the
He
one
has
who
no
kind of brought
section
it
on
up, though.
policy.
Let's be real here. I mean, if we're gonna have a good standard here, you kind of.
All I did was brought up his wife, and then he brought up my mother.
Yeah, I mean,
he didn't
you
even
gotta
bring
do
up.
that.
Well,
Okay, I'm
I mean,
gonna need to solve that problem. By the way, thank you for entertaining the conversation. I understand your humor more than ever now. I mean, look, with you, nothing is off limits, which is absolutely fucking hilarious in this case. I mean, there's certainly a bit of a pain threshold with me, but that's hilarious. That was epic. That was epic. Thank you for.
Thanks a lot. I do my best. Have fun. Good luck. Be careful, guys. Jesus Christ. I'm not even ready for the talking points. Well, what policies do they want? Well, she named 3. Oh, no. When I say policies, I mean executive orders from the press. Like, okay. All right. I love you guys. It's been fun. I will come back. Tomorrow.